Yo, what's good, everybody? I'll be live in a moment. Just gonna let this beat play for another little minute. Let some more people trickle in before we get this underway. How's everybody doing tonight on this fine Sunday evening? Okay, let me turn the music down. Bring the screen up. Oh, that's right. I got to put the music on loop. I forgot about that. Well, the intro music's done anyways. Maybe we'll put another beat on in a moment. What is good, everybody? It is Sunday. Just had the weekly close a little over an hour ago. Let's see here. This feels like good Sunday vibe music. Good Sunday vibe. Let's turn the volume down. There we go. Hey, Lunar, what's good, my dude? GM. Happy Sunday. How you been, my friend? We're back for another weekly close. We got the BTC weekly chart up right now. You can see we had that follow through from that weekly SFP from last week, or the last weekly candle. It's still just kind of, still pretty choppy. No real follows through to either direction. Like, yeah, we got the follow through off of that weekly SFP, but no range has been broken yet. We're still trading within the same general area. But we'll dive into that in a moment. How's the microphone volume? Is the microphone volume good? Or do I need to turn it up? It actually looks like the dial got touched. Let me adjust that. Can someone tell me, whoever is watching live, how the volume for the mic is? Is it quiet? Can't tell. Turning it up. How's that microphone volume? Is it too loud? Is it good? Somebody in the chat, let me know. I think the mic is usually sitting around that spot there. Hopefully it's good and not clipping and overpowering. Can't hear it in playback. So hopefully the volume is good. Now it's good. Munar says now it's good. So I'm assuming it was quiet. Okay. Well, I turned it up. Does it need to go louder? Or is the volume okay here? Give Munar a second to holler back. But he says now it's good, so it should be good. Okay, my friends, well, we're going to move this along. GM, and welcome to another Rapture, Scalp, and Swing Sessions. Number 22, the weekly close show. We just had the weekly close a little over an hour ago. There's room for louder, he says. There is room for louder. I just don't want to push it so that it starts to clip. How's that? Is that a good amount of louder? But I can hear fine. Well, I want it to be loud and clear. Eventually, I'm going to have to get a better microphone. I have a mic, but it's not the greatest. Eventually, I'll have to soup up my microphone. I don't know how many of you joining me, what age range y'all are in, but like when we used to upgrade our rice rockets, upgrade our import cars back in the day, we used to soup them up. You got to soup up your car. You got to soup up your whip. Soup it up. Those obnoxious mufflers and spoilers and wings and all that stuff. Yeah, I was a teenager once. Used to zip around town, street racing. Fun cars back in the day. Lowered down, tight to the ground, sitting on some 19s on low pros. With a obnoxiously loud subwoofer in the back. Good times. Good times when you're young and free and got some money in your pocket. Well, let's get some money in your pockets. Let's get our levels looked at so we can set up some trades. Today, we're going to look at high time frame levels and strategy. If you have been around with me for the weekly close show before, you know that that's what we do on these Sunday evening shows. We prep ourselves for the week ahead. We lay out our levels across BTC, ETH, and Sol, maybe an alt or two. We'll also take a look at the weekly macro dashboard and see if we can gain some insights as to where we should focus our efforts and our attention for the week ahead. Is something standing out as a good area to focus your attention? It's not a way to take a trade in and of itself off the macro dashboard, but it's a good way to focus your efforts. But we'll get into that in a bit. And we'll also take a look at my high time frame swing screener pro and take a look to see if there have been any interesting weekly SFPs. We had a bunch last week. We'll take a look and see what kind of follow through there was on those. I shared that list in the Telegram channel after the last session, after Monday. I think I shared it on Tuesday morning. By the way, if you are not a member of my Telegram channel, Rapture's Trade Book, it's a free Telegram channel. You can find a link to join in the description for this video on YouTube or from my bio on Twitter if you are joining us live on Twitter. And don't forget, if you are looking for an exchange, I want to give a shout out to the good folks over at BingX. They got a shit ton of pairs you can trade on there, and you can trade them with ridiculous leverage. Now, I don't recommend using anything beyond 10x, or at least that's where my comfort zone is, as that 10x leverage. But I believe they have 100, 150x. It's pretty insane. But if you are looking for a new exchange, head on over to bingx.com and use code Rapture to get yourself a bunch of sign-up bonuses. Okay, lads. Let's dive in. Pop it back on the BTC weekly chart. Not much to report on in terms of the BTC chart. Or excuse me, in terms of the weekly chart. Right, we had that SFP last week, follow through to the downside. We've sort of stopped short of this weekly range quarter level. It doesn't really seem like a logical place to take a trade. I would like it to either give some sort of sweep into that weekly range quarter, maybe SFPs this, but ideally, and if you've been with me for long enough, you will know that I am ultimately looking for this monthly level here to get taken out as the place that I would be looking for the highest probability swing position. Now that isn't a trade in of itself. I wouldn't just blindly buy this, but I would be looking for the type of low time frame price action I like to see for a reversal, and it would give that type of trade more room to breathe. At least that is what I believe. And if it does take that out, we'd finally take out that weekly swing low as well. Also, the inside week that we've been trading at now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're into the 8th week, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8th week inside of that week weekly candle, I would like to see either the top or the bottom of the inside week to get taken out for a good swing. I'm looking in and around here. So nothing to update on weekly. We can take a look on daily. Okay, well, we have our levels that we updated on Monday. Let's zoom in here and see if there's any levels to update. We can see that we SFP'd this level here, as well as we took out this swing low. So on daily time frame, there is reason for looking for longs here. Just on weekly, not as much. But daily, definitely after this SFP into this area here. Looking at this, immediately what I'm going to do, we're just going to outline the breaker right away. Here's the H1 breaker. It's not confirmed. That's a big ass candle to be dealing with, but the H1 breaker off of that daily SFP. If you get a close above here, you're bidding a retest. I can see this immediately. Right, I'm not even going to zoom down yet. I can just say we had a daily SFP. SFP'd this candle and deeper into this level there. This is the swing high that created the wick of the high time frame SFP. This is the swing high on H1, the low time frame swing high that created that wick, making this the breaker, which has not been confirmed. Get a close above the box, above this swing high on H1, meaning an hourly candle close, not just a wick, not just an M5 candle, but an H1, an hourly candle close above the breaker, confirming the breaker. You look for a long on a retest. Well, there's a trade I see right now. We can probably go lower time frame and see if we've already confirmed a breaker. Nope, haven't confirmed the M15 yet. We did put in an M15 market structure shift after closing above there. M5 definitely confirmed the breaker. Right there. So you're starting to later time frames. Given it's so close to the swing high of the hourly candle, of the hourly breaker, the market structure break level, I would wait for an H1 candle close above. I wouldn't rush this from here. I would watch price action develop a bit more, see if you can get something in there. Okay, let's go down to H12 now. Any other levels we might want to highlight? I mean, nothing to update here since Monday, right? Like all these levels that we put on Monday seem to be relevant. Like we might be able to get rid of this one. I'm not going to do that right now though, because if we do get a little bit of follow through on this long off the H1, the daily SFP H1, you'd be looking up into here, right? Is that a daily level? Yeah, you'd be looking up into here, right? Off of any of these for a next short. So I'm not going to do anything about that H12 candle. H4, let's see. Okay, well, because we sliced right through here, swoop, I think we can get rid of this on H4, no longer relevant. If it's going to come back up into here, it's probably going to tag that or that. That one's no longer relevant. That's our H4 levels. Is that H12? That? No. That is just an H4 level. We can get rid of that as well. There we go. There's our cleaned up H4 chart on BTC. Yes, we have that swing high there, but we're still monitoring that level because that's what's been capping price. I also see an H4 level here, but it's into those weekly range quarter levels, this double stacked weekly range quarters. So I don't think I would highlight that. I think you just look around that area. One thing I also see right now is here's the H4 unconfirmed breaker. Now, because it's so close to the H1 swing high, and because it's possible, like, yeah, it's 2.5 hours till the candle closes, you got some time. I'm a little less convinced about the hourly breaker. I mean, it hasn't confirmed yet regardless, so there's no trade there yet for me. I don't love that a confirmed H1 above there would be putting it right into the H4 swing high. But that being said, daily SFP, H1 bullish breaker, it's a difficult one to ignore. It's a prime setup. We'll see how this develops. Candle close on the hourly is in 24 minutes. We'll still be live, so we will check back for that. So what do we have now? We've got our H4 bullish unconfirmed breaker outlined. Let's take a look and see what else we have. So the H12 swing high is also there. Like, there's so many. This is what I don't love at the moment, is how many time frames are involved right here. I don't like looking to short after you've already had such a significant move to the downside, but there's a lot of things layering here. You're gonna want to monitor that. Now, also what I see, so this bearish daily breaker that we outlined on Monday that gave us the short twice, gave us 2 shorts, right? I also outlined an H4 bullish breaker here. It's no longer here. I removed it because it's no longer valid, but we had a long off of it on Tuesday, I believe. When was this? Yeah, Tuesday, right? Gave you the long, gave you the short. There was another short. This was the bearish daily breaker. What I can see now, because we went and put in a daily SFP there, we actually have a new daily bearish breaker. It's right here. This whole area is supply. And we already had fall through off the weekly SFP daily breaker, daily bearish breaker setup. Well, now we have a daily SFP version of that. This was the swing low that put in and created that daily SFP there on daily time frame, right? This makes it a market structure break from there. You could even tighten it up if you want and say, okay, this is my H12 bearish breaker right there. So you can give yourself a little more of a narrowed in zone. I'm more of a fan of leaving the highest time frame that you have though, and then just targeting swing levels within that zone, right? It could be any of them. It could be the ledge of the box. It could come up here and SFP that right there, this candle here on H12 and give you a short setup. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't love predicting ever. I'm all about reacting. I'm about highlighting the high time frame levels because you can't dispute high time frame swing levels. You just can't. That's not a subjective decision to make when you're looking at a high time frame swing, right? Swing level, swing level, swing level, swing, right? And you move along as price develops. And we are largely leaving untapped swing levels. Look at that. It even came in and took out that one, which we had been looking for. We had that one outlined a while ago. And then I removed it because I said, if it's coming down there, it's probably going to take out that weekly range quarter. And it front ran it. So I should have had that one left up. Regardless, this is a daily bearish breaker, this zone. Yes, we put in a daily SFP down here, which can give us the move up into the breaker, but I'm ultimately looking for shorts in here. Pop it down to H4. Again, this is not a confirmed bullish breaker until you get an H4 close above there, but then it's right into supply. So I'm less interested. This would just be a very short-term counter trend move. You know, headline risk aside, because we are in a situation where there is significant headline risk. I think it was kind of notable that nothing took place this weekend, though. And price just kind of did fuck all, right? Like this was Friday. Took at that level. Tagged that underside bearish breaker, but I didn't have that marked out yet, right? I had just had it as a swing low. I tagged that swing low. Okay, well, that's what I would say about BTC. Those are the levels that I see on H4. Again, I will share the charts in the Telegram channel so you guys can copy the levels if you're not catching them here live. Let's move it along to ETH. Nothing to update on monthly. We had follow through on the weekly after that sweep. We also had that daily bearish breaker, close below, retested SFP within the breaker, follow through. Okay, what we're getting, right? Similar to BTC, we had a daily SFP here on ETH. Because we had that SFP there, right up into there, we also, similar to BTC, now have a new bearish daily breaker that we'd be looking for shorts within. We can do the same thing though, how we zoom down immediately to see what took place here, to see where there's a potential bullish breaker. And this is the H1 breaker right here on ETH, similar that we outlined on BTC. Let's check H12 and see at this level here, capping like crazy. And when you got the close below confirming that breaker, retested into it, I think you'd be eyeing this level here on H12, eyeing this level here. As a key candidate, if you come into here and you put in low time frame price action that shows a market structure break, you're short in that. Nothing else to update here. Let's go to H4. We can get rid of this now. That's the clean level. There we go. Clean, clean, clean. So unlike BTC, which we could outline an H4 breaker in here, the swing level is actually that level that we just highlighted is that key H12 level that we'd be looking for a short on a low time frame. Why is that? Because there's no swing high in here. The swing high is here that put in that wick. Right? It's the H12 swing high that put in that wick. And because it's within the bearish daily breaker, right? This is our daily bearish breaker zone. I'm much more likely to suspect this to be a short trigger, pending price action. You don't just blindly short. You know that none of my strategy is a blind trade. Everything is low time frame structure breaks and structure shifts. off of the high time frame levels. What is that line? What is that one? What is that? What is that representing? Is that an H4 level? Okay, it was. Fix that up. Okay. Now on H4, we can see, just one moment. Yeah, I don't even think we need that there. We're going to pull this down here. We have an H4 level here. All right, we're just marking out levels that if or when price gets up into them, we'd be looking for a reaction, an inter-reaction. I'm looking for the interactions at the high time frame levels, the reactions at the high time frame levels, those inter-reactions. I'm coining that. It's another one, just like the Rapture Inception setup or the Inception trade. I'm looking for inter-reactions. Just an inter-reaction, baby. Okay, that's our levels on ETH. Again, there's your H1. If you're looking for a long off of that, you can probably go lower time frame and see if anything confirmed. You confirmed the structure shift, right? What's the difference between a structure shift? Actually, you confirmed the M15 break, but it's so close to H1, I wouldn't really play with that. What is the difference between a market structure break and a market structure shift? Well, a break involves the swing high of the move that created the move that you're flipping it. Whereas a market structure shift, sorry, let me rephrase it. The break level is the level that preceded the move, whereas a structure shift is a swing level that comes after the move, right? It's the first swing level after you put in a move like that. You can probably also outline that on. All right, so this is the market structure break level. This would be a structure shift level, which is useless here on H1. M5 confirmed the breaker though, right? You can see that swing high that creates the wick of the high time frame SFP, closes above, confirming the breaker, the market structure break off of this level right here, closes above, confirms the breaker, retests into the breaker, boom. I mean, ETH's looking a little bit better than Solana, than BTC here. BTC interacting with that H1 swing high level. Yeah, a little bit more strength from BTC and apparently from Solana as well, which we'll take a look at in a moment. Well, it's 12 minutes to go. I would watch this for the close because you have a potential to long a retest up into the breaker to find the next short, right? Let's go to Sol. Nothing new on monthly. Weekly also had the weekly SFP that we outlined last week with the follow through. A lot more follow through actually. Solana was weaker during the week than BTC and ETH. But it did take out this weekly, this weekly swing level here. The price has been hovering around. So someone's trying to keep it from going lower here. So because we had that, okay, well, just the same as on BTC and ETH, we now have a new bearish daily breaker right up in there. But we did take out that weekly level with the daily SFP. So let's just see what's here. Okay. Now I tell you guys this all the time, the higher the time frame, the stronger the signal. And look at how once it took out the weekly level, you got a much stronger reaction from Solana than from ETH or BTC, right? Neither of those took out a weekly level. Right? There's no weekly level here. How do I know that? Because there's no gray line that I have marked out indicating a weekly or monthly level. On ETH, similar on BTC, it was actually looking for that level to get taken out. You can see this is a very great example of why high time frame, the higher the time frame, the stronger the signal, the cleaner the signal, why we like to mark out our high time frame levels, and why different time frames, even on the higher time frames, can give you a different reaction. Well, you can see it tagged a weekly level. And what does that mean when you're getting into a weekly or a monthly level? It just means more participants are looking to get involved. I've mentioned this in the past, right? On an hourly level, you may only get people that trade hourly, M15, M5, M1. It's a much smaller cross section of the market than if you're into a weekly level, which you'll get people from weekly who like to trade weekly or daily or H12, H4, H1, like a much larger segment of the market. That's why you tend to see these larger reactions, because more people are looking to get involved there, and also more patient, larger bankrolled, highly capitalized individuals are waiting for those higher time frame levels. That's why you see, it's not like it's an insane amount more, but it's a larger move than both ETH or BTC, and it was the only one that took out a weekly level. Is that a coincidence? No, it's not. Okay, so this would be the H1 breaker. Close above there. You can also see what's interesting on Solana is there's more distance to take the long up into the where we'd be looking for shorts compared to BTC and ETH. Okay, let's get back to our levels. Anything else on daily we need to mark out here? No. H12. Pardon me, I just had a foul burp. I'm drinking some club soda and lime, or club soda and lemon juice right now. Do a little palate cleanse. But on a bit of a not a health kick, but I love going for very long power walks. And I kind of let that slide a little bit over the last couple months, but in the last couple weeks I've really gotten back into it big time, going for a nice long walk every day, aiming for those 10,000 steps. Just generally feeling pretty clean and healthy. I think a lot of it has to do too, like if you joined last session, I had that whole spiel, the beginning of the last live session, talking about obsession and the difference between being motivated versus being obsessed. And when you find something in your life that you obsess over, that pulls you, rather than having to push yourself to do something, when motivation is pushing yourself to do something, whereas obsession just draws you in. When you find something that you're obsessed over, it just sort of naturally forces you to want to clean up things in your life so that you can have as much energy and focus as possible, so you can expend as much energy, as much focus time as you possibly can. At least I find for me that's the case. Anyways, that was a random rant after I burped into the microphone. Sorry, lads. Okay, well, H12, there's no other levels that I'd mark out here. Like, yeah, there was an SFP there, but that level obviously closed below. H4, are there any other levels here that I would mark out? Not that I can see. Not that I can see. Like my eye does keep looking at this, but like this level here. My eye does keep looking at that. It already traded below it though. What was an H12 level? Something that I'm also seeing. I'm also seeing that as an H12 bearish breaker. It's not that clean though. It's not that clean to me. And I do think because it got the weekly level tag, if we get a little relief on BTC and the market in general, it's going to push up into here. I think I'm going to get rid of that. I don't really see the value in that one that I just drew. Now, is this relevant still? Is that a daily or an H12 level? It's an H12 level. Sliced right through it on the way down. What I think is we tighten this up and move this here now. There we go. Boom, there it is. Why? Because this is actually a H12 bearish breaker. This was the daily SFP. This is the H12 swing low that creates the wick of the daily SFP, close below. There's your H12 bearish breaker. So I like that level more than I liked it here. Even though it's a small little difference, you know, it matters. Anything else on H4? No, I don't see anything else. Again, H1 bullish breaker, looking like it's going to confirm. Okay, well that is BTC, ETH, and SOL. We've got our high time frame levels mapped out. SPX is looking pretty wild. It's looking like this is a likely candidate as a target. What do you think, boys? Looking pretty likely. We've had that follow through on weekly after we lost that level there. We closed below, retested it. Now we've lost another level. Well, we can say, okay, here, it's taken out this level. It's below it currently, but last week it actually tagged it as an SFP. So if we can get back above and reclaim that. Daily printed another lower low. The weekly range quarter, it's just kind of useless right now because we don't have a swing low to anchor it off of yet. Put it there for now. So this is a market structure break level. This is now just a internal swing level on daily. That's a serious chop down. Even back during the tariff stuff, I mean, that was significant. I guess that was pretty controlled as well. It is looking oddly familiar. Right? Very similar price action. Maybe we get a relief up into there and maybe another Foomp, and we take out that monthly level. Just telling you guys what I see. Just telling it like I see it. So, daily swing high, market structure break. We have an area of supply, a significantly large one. Big fair value gap here. It comes up into here, sweeps that level. H4 SFP on BTC. Okay, hold on a sec. So that means the H1 pushed up. No, it did not, in fact. The only reason why I'm getting that as a trigger, it didn't take out the H4 level again, but I have alerts on BTC ETH and Sol for H4 SFPs to trigger every hour. Meaning, if it is an H4 SFP underway and it is still relevant at a subsequent hour within that 4-hour candle, then it's going to trigger me on the hour. Shout out to my high time frame swing screener pro that keeps me up to date and actively alerted to those SFPs. Let's come back over here. Okay. So what we can do, update some levels here. What I see on H4 is this here, which is right into that daily fair value gap, right? Right? Let me get some, oops. Maybe get some. Right, maybe it takes out that into that fair value gap, gives you an H4 SFP or something into there, sweeps those weekly levels, then you get that hard arc, lower high, sort of down, which I mean looks very similar to what's been taking place, right? Down, retest, H4 SFP into a monthly level, lower, H4 SFP into a weekly level, lower, right? The pattern is there. The pattern is there. Okay. Well, that's what I see on SPX. There is another tiny little level there, but I think it's going to come up into there. It's going to take out that daily level. So we'll leave it as that. Okay, lads, that is all of our high time frame levels across BTC, ETH, Sol, and SPX. I will share the levels. Again, I will share the levels in the Telegram channel. Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow morning, 100%. Okay, look at what's happening here, right? Solana, still a much stronger response compared to BTC and ETH. Again, because it took out that weekly bubble. Let's zoom in here again. Let's see what's happening. So the hourly confirmed the bullish breaker. You got to close above there, which made this a market structure break. I'll just switch that up so you can see what I'm talking about. That level there. Now you have an hourly and H1 MSB. What do you do from here? Do you just buy this? Personally, no. What you're waiting for is a retest into here. And I'd be looking on lower time frames, so say M15, maybe M5, for price to come back down into here. So you're getting some SFPs up into here. If I switched over to my other template, you'd probably see market order bubbles, large market buy bubbles. market buy orders into this area, likely. What I'd be looking for is sometime in the next hours. I don't know exactly when, I can't predict. I'd just tell you what I'd be looking for. Price to come down into here. Maybe it's going to SFP that level. Maybe it's going to SFP these levels. Maybe it puts in fresh price action in here that takes it out as an SFP within this zone of some of that fresh price action. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. That's why on our other layout, we have the indicators that show us the SFPs happening on low time frames in real time. This is what I'd be looking for. So now that we have the confirmed H1 breaker off of the daily SFP, we're looking for the trigger to execute along somewhere in this box. Right? We have this is the layers. This is the layers, man. It's the layers. What are the layers that we're talking about here? Well, first, the high time frame signal, daily SFP, into a weekly level, into a daily level. Check one, high time frame signal. Then we've got our mid time frame setup, which is this H1 bullish breaker, confirmed with a market structure break close above the market structure break level. This is now a confirmed bullish breaker. The basic version of taking this trade is just setting a limit order off of the edge of the breaker. Stop goes down here. Limit order off here. And you let it ride. Personally, I don't like doing that. I much prefer for when price gets down into here that I'm looking immediately to lower time frames to see if I get the type of low time frame signal, right? So it's a high time frame signal, mid time frame setup, low time frame execution signal. That's my inception trade, right? We can go a step further, right? Say you come down into here, say on M15, price comes down into here, and say it SFPs this level here. Say price comes down into here, sorry, and you SFP this level on M15. How do you go a level deeper on the inception trade, right? Because so far we're at 3 levels. Daily SFP, hourly bullish breaker, that's the setup. Third layer of that inception trade would be an M15 SFP into here, or similar. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be. That's why you just got to monitor the price live when it gets down to there. So say you get that M15 SFP, then what I would be doing to inception that one layer deeper is when or if you get that SFP on M15, drop down to M5 or M1 and look for the same shit. Look for a swing high that creates that SFP, the higher time frame SFP, with the market structure break, draw out your breaker. When you confirm that breaker with a market structure break and close above, you have your trade. That is the Rapture inception trade broken down for you. Okay. I'm not saying it's going to be this level here. I'm not saying it's going to be an SFP at this level. I don't know where it's going to take place. It could be this level. It could just be an M5, right? If we throw up our moving averages, you may have some averages lining up here too that you may just get an M1 SFP into the averages, right? Like that's why I have my main battle station, which is my 6 timeout layout, 6 time frame layout with all the indicators that I like to use. That speeds up my whole process, right? Like I do my high time frame levels at set intervals, right? Like when 4-hour candles close, H12 candles close, daily, weekly, I mark out my levels. And then when price inevitably runs into one of my high time frame levels, I'm into my battle station that has my execution set up. And it's just, everything happens for me. The indicators do it for me so that I'm not having to draw levels and guess. I just want to be able to respond to what price is doing in the moment. None of that takes over from what I do here in my high time frame, marking out the levels. This is without doing all this, there's no other process for me. It's all about doing this stuff. Marking your levels, marking your high time frame, monthly, weekly, daily, H12, H4. Mark them all out ahead of time. Update them frequently as price evolves. Then when price gets into a level, right, like what we just did here with hourly, we saw, we have that daily SFP. Now we had hourly breaker, confirmed breaker. Now it's just a patience game of waiting for some sort of trigger in here. I don't know what that looks like yet, but it's a very small list of things that it might look like. And I just spoke about what they all are. If you're unsure what they are, well, you can go back and watch some of the previous live streams where we look more in detail on lower time frame execution, or in the Telegram channel where I share setups. And maybe there's going to be some ways for you in the future to get a little bit more one-on-one, not necessarily one-on-one, but smaller atmosphere learning environments for people that take it seriously, because I take it seriously. My time is, I don't take my time lightly. Okay. Let's take a look and see, did BTC, no, BTC did not confirm the hourly breaker. In fact, it's getting stuffed by that level. See, this is why we don't long into a range high. We wait for the market structure break to confirm. What happened on ETH? Okay, so ETH closed above. You can see it already retested the breaker and moved off it. But similar, I would still wait for a deeper pullback into here and look for some sort of setup, some sort of signal on low time frames to tell you, hey, the long is on. Okay. Let's pop back over here. So we've done our high time frame levels and talked about our strategy for the next couple days, what we're looking for. We looked at BTC, ETH, and SOL. Let's take a look at the weekly macro dashboard and see what that bad bitch is saying. Here we go. Here's my weekly macro dashboard. We got BTCD, BTC dominance. We got total ES divided by BTC, which is my altcoin health barometer. We got USDTD, or tether dominance, as a replacement for the Dixie, as it's been a more actionable market signal. We got ETH BTC, SOL BTC, and SOL ETH. So what do we see? Let's take a look at BTCD first and foremost. Okay, so we lost a swing level there. We lost this level. We closed below last week, and we can see it pushed up a little bit and it's rejecting off of it. Immediately, this tells me that BTC is not where we want to be focused. Maybe what might happen, maybe what you might get, maybe what we might get. Let's just extend some of these out since we continue to move along. So this is now a relevant swing high. Maybe what we get is this level here gets taken out. But as it stands right now, BTC, this tells me that BTC is the less attractive asset. Let's move along to total ES. So Very indecisive weekly candle there. Very indecisive weekly candle. Does this, like, it looks like a cleaner, or not cleaner, it looks like a more bullish looking chart than BTCD, but sitting here in the middle between a range low and supply after a very indecisive as fuck candle last week, this doesn't scream to me I want to trade alts. I know I say that a lot because I don't really trade alts anymore, but regardless of my view on, or my attention span for alts, this is indecisive as fuck. Something else that I can see, we're inside weekend this one, right? So we can put our weekly range quarters. Which gives this now a little bit more weight to long alts, right? We tagged that weekly range quarter, gave a reaction off of it. I just don't like how indecisive this fucking candle looks. What I could say though, like, I don't like going this in the weeds doing analysis on the macro charts, because for me, they are just a directional focus gauge. But you could say if you get a daily close above here, then you have a daily bullish breaker off of this weekly level, and alts would likely see some relief. Maybe you get a push up into this breaker, this bearish supply. But like I said, it hasn't been confirmed, and you already had a daily SFP into that level. I know it's a little bit insane trying to run this granular of analysis on these macro charts, but a chart is a chart is a chart. A chart is a chart is a chart. It's kind of interesting. So, you know, why these are a little less reliable, like, see how this swing low is higher than this one here on H12, but on daily, this one was lower than that one. So it's difficult to be as precise as I would like to be on these. But off of H12, you've confirmed a bullish breaker off of the weekly sweep. And you can see it already retested. What happened here on lower time frames with an H4 SFP into it. It's not like I just said, a chart is a chart is a chart. The same shit, right? H12 bullish breaker confirmed after a weekly sweep. SFP into this. The difficult thing here is which alts do you pick. You just pick the alts that have been doing well, right? Whatever the best performing alts were, just stick to those. So I'm pretty sure Tau was doing well. VVV has been doing well. Hype had been doing well, although Hype put in that weekly SFP last week, so we'll take a look and do some follow-up on that. But this is granular on this, but what we're trying to do is see, is there cause or a moment of pause to say alts may be the better play? Well, compared to the BTC chart, yes, we're already saying that, right? Or compared to the BTCD chart. Let's take a look at tether dominance. So after that weekly sweep last week, we got deeper follow through. Now we've come up into this weekly sweep up here. So let's see what we've got going on. Daily SFP into it. Had this marked out. So this is a bearish H12 breaker. Well, you're getting H12 SFPs into the bearish breaker, right? Or daily SFP even. It's a daily SFP. Into the weekly range quarter level, taking out some other levels. This to me tells me that capital is going to flow out of stable coins. And whether that means into the market, into assets, or just pulling it out of the market altogether, I don't know. I can't tell you that from looking at this. And the BTC ETH chart does not look great, so it's not going into BTC. But maybe some capital is going to rotate off the sidelines into alts. I don't want to be fucking saying it's alts though. Like, don't. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm not telling you what to do. You need to take this information for yourself and make a decision based on your own judgment. Oh, we're past the hour mark. Let's try to speed this up a bit now. Okay. Let's take a look at ETH BTC. Pop it back to weekly. So we had that bearish SFP last week. This week, 2 weeks ago, this past week, we had a little bit of follow through. Not much. Someone just tells me this kind of just wants to roll over and take that out still. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily focus on ETH. Sol BTC just continues to be pinned in this tight channel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 weeks trading sideways. We could also do the same thing that we did on BTC with that inside week. Oh, and you can see it's taking out those weekly range quarters. Kind of interesting there. So it's taken out a weekly level. Again, that's been hugging. Taken out a weekly level. Put in a daily SFP here. Also, the Sol chart itself took out a weekly level. Look at Sol ETH. Sol ETH finally took out the weekly level down there. Well, and we know that Sol has been outperforming both ETH and BTC. I'm more bullish Sol ETH than I am ETH BTC. In fact, I'm a little bit more bearish ETH BTC. And Sol BTC doesn't look awful. The fact that it's still just... This kind of says to me that I don't really want to focus on BTC right now. Capital may be about to rotate back into the market, though. Looking at tether dominance. Alts look like they may want to give a push up. Sol looks like it wants to outperform ETH and possibly BTC. TLDR, that's my TLDR, is out of the big three, I would look to express longs on Solana over ETH or BTC right now. ETH, I may want to short against BTC. BTC, I just don't really see it right now. USDT might roll over the dominance, so that would be good if the capital flows into the market and not just pulled out of the market. Maybe we could see some decent rallies on some alts. I'm not saying alt season. You're never ever going to hear me say something like that. But maybe you might get some short-term outperformance in the correct alts. Let's pop back over here. Okay, we looked at the weekly macro dashboard. Let's take a look at some high time frame weekly SFPs. Maybe we can zero in on what might be a decent candidate for potential alt outperformance. I don't want to be caught being that guy. Let's just take a look at the swing. What was that? Okay. Still getting pinned. Hype's still getting pinned off that weekly level, right? We got the weekly SFP last week, swept it again. We're sweeping it again here now. The H12 bearish breaker still in play. Hype's a tough one because it is still getting capped by that weekly level. We do have the confirmed H12 bearish breaker. It's also been one of the stronger coins. Like, you don't want to just be that guy. Let's see. So the daily range is still the same. We've had it marked out for a while. Oops, jeez. It's a tough one because I do see the short here. Let's see what are some other interesting ones. Virtual. Okay, well, that short played out. Where were we? On Monday, we were somewhere down in here. We were somewhere here on Monday. Look at that. Well, that short follow through took place already. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this. Let's go let's go see. Let's go see if there's anything interesting from a weekly SFP perspective. Today. Not much from the volume range that I would look for, right? You guys know I like to keep it around 50. We can put it to 40 to try and hoover in some more because volume overall has been lower, but all this SUI. Okay, let's see what else. Is there anything on breakout? SUI. Lighter. Palantir. Sure, let's take a look at that. Why not? Why not? Anything on BingX? Let's see. It just takes a while because there's a lot of assets on this list. Oh shit, Moonar said screen. What screen was I not on? Hopefully it wasn't the weekly SFPs, but I wasn't really drilling into those much anyways. Not a single one on BingX hitting 40 mil threshold. Let's check out orderly. Again, SUI. Okay, so the only one of significance that's showing up is SUI. I put in a weekly SFP. Let's see why it's telling us that. Ah. Okay. Well, we had the bearish one and the follow through. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Well, now we put in a bullish one here. Okay, so are we just going weekly SFP to weekly SFP? What do you do here? We didn't see hype at all, but not sure if you meant to share. You didn't see hype at all? I can go back in a second. I can go back. Apologies about that, lads. So SUI is the only one that's really popping up as a weekly SFP right now. Well, that and Palantir, which we can look at. We had the weekly SFP last week with the follow through, right? We outlined that last week. We had the H12 bearish breaker, closed below, retested. Even gave you another bearish H12 SFP just shy of the breaker after it had already closed below. All right, closed below, retest. We were on Monday, we were looking at this. So we were looking at it somewhere in here. We had an H12 SFP since then, follow through. Now, what have we had here? We just had as well an H12 bullish SFP as well as the weekly. Let's see if we can find the reverse of this. What I'm doing now is I'm looking for the breaker. Now, because it's a weekly SFP, that level there, you want it to be a higher time frame. All right, like this was an H12 bearish breaker. Well, this would be the H12 bullish breaker, but that's leaving yourself. You're missing a lot of that move, right? But that is the level. If we want to go and say, okay, let's just be super tight about this. You've already confirmed the H1 bullish breaker right there. So this is riskier because it's a weekly level and this is only an H1 breaker, whereas off of a weekly level, I prefer an H12 or an H4 or a daily breaker to confirm the market structure break and reversal. But you could still trade this just with really tight inval and be really ready to cut. I don't know if, don't know much about the Sui project. I haven't followed that chain at all. I don't know what's going on over there. It's not looking like it's not looking great on high time frames. But you did get a weekly SFP. And just like we had the weekly bearish SFP 2 weeks ago, well, now we've had a weekly bullish SFP. This would be your confirmed H12 bullish breaker. It's the same for H4. There's no difference. Where you do get interesting is the H1. If you get something to pull back into here, maybe you have a long in there. I don't know, but that's the only weekly SFP that was of note with high enough volume to warrant taking a look at. What was the other thing? It was Palantir, right? I mean, somebody's like, we were talking about how total ES divided by BTC, the alt barometer, looked like I would focus more on alts. And look at a bunch of these are a lot more green than BTC ETH or Sol. Look at, right? Let's see what the weekly SFP on Palantir was. Ooh, okay. Let's just do a few things really quickly. I mean, that doesn't look too hot, does it? Does not look too hot. So there's your weekly SFP. We've also got inside week into those range quarters. Ooh, okay. Okay. There is your daily bearish breaker after the weekly SFP. This is Palantir, right? Like this is stock market, and SPX is not looking too hot. I'd say it's a high probability short on a retest up into there. On equities, you get these gaps, right? So like maybe you're targeting one of these gaps. Why am I even showing this? Well, because you can trade it on a lot of venues now. On a lot of perps, dexes, and sexes, you can trade equities now. Well, there's some interesting spots on Palantir. And because I fucked up and wasn't showing the monitor on hype, let's just take a look really quickly. So what I was saying is you got the weekly SFP 2 weeks ago. Again, this past week, you SFP'd it again with a sweep. We're sweeping the level again now. We still have this bearish H12 breaker that's been confirmed. Given this aspect, what I'm seeing here on hype, and yes, it had been the strong outlier. This move has already been captured, right? Like this is a significant move. It's now rotating into other alts. So I would look at whatever else is being strong right now and focus on that. I did mention Tau. Let's take a look at Tau. Let's take a look at the Tau chart. And then we're going to wrap it up. Because we're rolling in on an hour and a half, and I don't want to do these streams longer than an hour and a half anymore. Ideally closer to an hour. But we go through a lot on these weekly close shows. I want you to be prepared for the week ahead. Let's take a look at Tau real quick. I haven't looked at it in a little while. I mean, yeah, strong, right? Strong. So there's some old stuff going on here that I need to clean up. Like Why do I have that marked like that? It's a bit weird, but it is responding there. So it's into a weekly range quarter off at this. That's a weird way I have that marked out. Like, what happens if I do this? So it's giving us that same level, and I like that a little bit more. Okay. This is not relevant. I mean, that is a market structure shift, bearish breaker on Tau, but it had been one of the stronger ones. I was just hoping that I would open this up and see potentially a long, and realistically, maybe it's into here. Maybe this is a area for pullback and you're looking to long into here. Why did I pull this up? Well, because it's been one of the stronger points. Let's add this to there we go. Okay. I'll clean this list up and go through these on my own time. I don't want to waste your guys' time here live during the session. I do want to be respectful of everyone's time, and it is past, or we're rapidly approaching the hour-and-a-half mark, and I do want to wrap this up. Let's quickly pop back to BTC ETH and Sol. Take one last look before we wrap this up today. Still struggling with that level. Yeah, I would look for longs on Solana over ETH and over BTC right now. If you want to express the move as a long. There's a couple of reasons behind that. One, Sol ETH and Sol BTC are kind of saying to me that they're stronger. You know, they're into some structural levels, some time frame levels for a reversal. BTCD looks like shit. No clear direction or support where it is right now. Total ES is saying possibly, or suggesting to me alts may have some outperformance over the coming days. Out of the big three, Solana would be the alt out of those. Beyond that, there are other alts doing and looking stronger. So I would zero in on some short lists on some alts. I'm not telling you to make hero trades on these. What I'm saying and suggesting is over the coming days, there is likely to be some pockets of alt outperformance. You need to be very selective about which alts those are. Sui, looking interesting. I don't think I would focus on hype, because to me, the bearish setup is very clear right now. And the meat of that move has already been chewed. ETH into supply already off of that H4 SFP, or off of that daily SFP, right? Up into daily supply, off of the daily SFP already. I'm less interested in trying to catch the long on that. BTC has some distance to go to get up into supply, but it's not a lot. Solana actually has the larger amount of distance to capture. And pairing that with the fact that Sol BTC and Sol ETH look like better charts to me for the long side, that's where I would focus. And both the Solana chart itself, given the fact that the H1 breaker confirmed, and the macro charts are pointing to the same thing. So shift your focus to where the charts are telling you to focus. So this week, over the coming days, I'm going to be a little bit more focused on Solana. You guys know that I don't really trade alts beyond the big three that often. So that is where I will look to express longs. Ultimately, though, let's not let this short-term longs that we're looking for here cloud the fact that ultimately we're moving up into fresh daily bearish breakers where we're looking for shorts. But over the next day or two, if you get the long, like Solana has confirmed an H1 bullish breaker, take the intraday long. You're not the hero swinging, but the longs are presenting. Let's pop back over here really quickly. We'll do a quick recap. Well, I want to thank everyone that's joined me this evening, this fine Sunday evening, for another episode of Rapture, Scalp, and Swing Sessions, number 22, the weekly close show. We're all about process, patience, and execution. We mark out our high time frame levels and discuss strategy for the days and week ahead on these weekly close shows. We looked at BTC, ETH, Sol, a handful of alts. Didn't go too deep on the alts, but we did look and see that there's a potential long to look for on SUI. And some shorts and some other alts, but the macro charts, the high time frame macro, my weekly macro dashboard is suggesting focus on Sol and focus on the alts that are presenting attractive setups. Don't forget, if you're looking for a new SEX to do your trading on, a new exchange, go to bingx.com and use code Rapture for sign-up bonuses. And as always, if you're looking to help support the growth of this show, so I can keep pumping these out, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, whether you are joining from YouTube or if you're joining on Twitter, then follow and like the shit that I'm putting out. Help it get to more people. Help the reach expand. Help the algorithms help tell the algorithms that this is valuable content, right? Like, came back on Monday after a 2-week hiatus and laid out both the long and shorts on BTC, and they all fucking hit on ETH and Sol too. So if you are getting value from what I'm doing here, help support the growth. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. Leave a comment wherever you are joining from. Go and become a member of the free Telegram channel, Rapture's Tradebook. Get the link in the description for this video on YouTube or from my bio on Twitter. And that's it for me. Rapture signing out. I want each of you to have a fantastic week. And as always, I will post charts to the Telegram channel. Ciao.